Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the paper presentation competition of the 26th ALSA National English Competition. I'm Victoria Yunis, and I will be the master of ceremony for today's competition. Before we start, I would like to first of all thank our sponsors and partners. Toko Vendor, Royal English, Info.Event, Info.Lomba, eventcenter.id, online.lomba, Poin Kampus, Event Kampus, Jagat Lomba Indonesia, Media Lomba Plus, infolomba.est, and infolomba.sch for helping us in conducting this event. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to thank all the honorable judges and all the participants for joining us here today. We highly appreciate your enthusiasm in joining ALSA E-Comp 2022. Today, we have 7 participants joining us for the high school paper presentation competition. Now, let me introduce to all of you the honorable judges for today's competition. The first judge is Ishvi Afiani. Mbak Ishvi is an award-winning essayist and publication team of Jurnal Kriminologi Indonesia FISIP UI. She also teaches English at LBI FIB UI and serves as an editor for the Endgame podcast with Gita Wirjawan. Good morning, Mbak Ishvi.
Good morning, Victoria, and good morning, everyone.
Thank you for coming today, Mbak. Moving on, our second judge is Kemas Muhammad Sadam. Kak Kemas is a final year student at the Faculty of Psychology Universitas Diponegoro, and he was awarded as the most outstanding student by the Dean. He is now currently studying in NTU for a semester as an IISMA awardee. He serves as a researcher in both rights and have written a handful of articles regarding environmental issues. Good morning, Kak Kemas.
Hello, good morning. Morning, everyone.
Thank you for coming today. The judges' decisions are final and there is no correspondence pertaining to the judging process that will be reconsidered. Now, before we start the competition, I would like to remind all the participants that the oral presentation is divided into 2 parts. Firstly, the participants will present their paper without interruption for 8 minutes maximum. Time warnings will be given as the timekeepers will raise 1. A notice will be given on the Zoom chat room as a sign for participants to start delivering their presentation. 2. Another notice will be given twice on the 4th and 8th minute. 3. When the 8-minute time limit expires, the timekeeper will give a notice that the time is up. 4. 15 seconds will be given as a tolerance time right after the time limit expires. 5. If the participant disobey the maximum duration of 8 minutes time limit and 15 seconds tolerance time, the judges or committee will stop the presentation immediately. Secondly, the judges will question the participants on their oral presentation for up to 7 minutes. During this question and answer session, only the judges will have the right to ask questions. Thus, other participants and spectators are not permitted to ask any questions. Therefore, the total time given to each participant is 15 minutes. For your information, all of today's event will be recorded. If you do not mind, please kindly inform us via Zoom chat. Now, to make sure that all the participants have joined this meeting room, I would like to call each name of the participants. Please raise your hand or unmute yourself if you are here. Firstly, Darren Fubert. Darren, are you in the meeting?
Present.
Next, Anna Maria. Anna Maria, are you in the meeting room?
Yes.
Next, Diandra Aulia Danisi.
Present.
Next, Ratu Putri Dewi, are you in the meeting room?
Present.
Next, Lynette Azurakang, are you in the meeting room?
Present.
Next, Hana Sekardamayanti, are you in the meeting room?
Present.
And last but not least, Sang Ayu Kadek Ninda Putri Kepakisan, are you in the meeting room? Sang Ayu Kadek Ninda Putri Kepakisan, are you in the meeting room? I will call one more time. Ninda Putri Kepakisan, are you in the meeting room? Okay, so Ninda is not here yet. We'll call her again later. Without any further ado, let's begin with the first participant, Darren. Darren, the time and place is yours.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom. Om Swastiastu. Sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, dan salam kebajikan. Good morning, everyone. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Darren Fubert, and I'm from SMA Kristen Kasih Kemuliaan, and I'm currently in the 12th grade science program. Now, I'd like to talk about the dark side of hustle culture. Next. First, what is the definition of hustle culture? Hustle culture is a mindset that dedicates someone's time to work every day in order to excel at their goals. In other words, hustle culture could be also defined as an overworking mindset in order to pursue glory. Nowadays, people are aware how challenging and how competitive it is in the working world. Older generation who have more experience direct younger generations, such as kids and teenagers, to study and work early to obtain a successful career. Therefore, teenagers are the first victim to be affected by this hustle culture. Second, adults could also be affected by the hustle culture due to numerous responsibilities. Next. There are some reasons why these people get affected by the hustle culture. The first reason is to pursue glory. A lot of people believe that studying and working hard is the key of success. They have the mindset of you get what you give. The amount of money you will receive will be correspond with the value and effort that you give, which this statement is very wrong. Second, the second reason why hustle culture exists is responsibilities. People who have responsibilities have the obligation to pay mortgage, child education fees, and buying groceries, and etc. To solve all of these problems, you need money. Lastly, some people, especially millennials, tend to work hard just hoping to get all of the praises and showing off their riches. Next. Hustle culture formed in countries. So in China, some workers have insane working hours for about 12 hours a day and work for 7 days a week with no Sunday holiday, which leads to some workers to suffer from working stress. Second, South Korea students have the densest studying schedule for 12 to 16 hours a day, and they have to face several exams, which the result plays a huge role to determine their university degree. Next slide, please. Then, why is hustle culture harmful? As you can see from the previous example, hustle culture could lead into a burnout due to overwork. Overwork could affect your physical health, such as heart failure, stroke, cancer, insomnia, anemia, and hypotension. Aside from that, hustle culture could also affect your mental health, such as jealousy, anxiety, loneliness, and deep stress. Next slide, please. Hustle culture and productivity are related, but sometimes people get confused the difference between hustle culture and productivity. Toxic productivity means overwork, which to being unable to take a rest. On the other hand, efficient productivity means activities that done in a chill and more relaxed mind. To produce more efficient productivity, you need enough sleep. To put more focus into your work. However, if you experience lack of sleep, drowsiness is inevitable. Therefore, it could reduce your performance in your work. Next slide, please. Now we know the harmness of hustle culture towards your life. How to escape hustle culture? In order to prevent hustle culture to get into your life, being aware is a must. Awareness is a good shield to dodge hustle culture to gain control over your lifestyle. However, if hustle culture did get into your life, then to overcome hustle culture, you need to spend more time with your family and friends to reduce loneliness. You also can make free time to do things you like to reduce stress. And lastly, you need to be well rested in order to produce good mood. That is all from me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation, Darren. Now we will give the judges a chance to ask questions. Are there any questions from the honorable judges? Sorry, Kak Kemas, your voice isn't heard.
Hi, am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, sure. Okay, thank you. Okay, so Darren, you mentioned in your paper that people often misinterpret hardworking as hustling. So can you draw a line between like a healthy hardworking and hustling? And how can we ensure that as a student or as an, you would say, influencer, blogger, YouTuber, whatever, like, how can we ensure that what we're promoting to people, what we're sharing to people is like hardworking and not hustling, so that we can inspire them to hard work, not like to hustle in their daily lives? I think that's my question.
Okay, thank you for the question, Judge. For me, hustle culture is based on your mindset. If your destiny or your intention to get rich, like if the intention of getting rich is impossible, then if you work hard, it could produce like hustle culture. But if you work hard just like to study for an exam, it could consider as a hard work, which can be the key of success. That is my answer, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. Yeah, Darren, congratulations. Yeah, how do you feel right now? How are you feeling right now after delivering the speech, the presentation?
Honestly, I was shocked at first how quick I got my turn. So at first I was nervous, but right now I'm getting more comfortable.
Okay, good. Well, so thank you very much. You have answered from Kemas, yeah, from Kak Kemas. And right now I have some comments regarding the techniques, yeah, of the presentation itself. I was so happy when seeing you delivering the speech or the presentation, because you came up with the what, and then with the why, and then with the how. Yeah, so you really made it in order. Okay, but yeah, I will tell you the key of storytelling or presentation. So actually the storytelling or presentation is not about the story or not about the paper that you are delivering, right? It's all about you. Yeah, it's always about you, always the narrator. So you have to make the audience here get want to get to know what is the hustle culture, why it is important for us to get to know. So this is your role to make them, what is it, enthusiast with the topic. Yeah. So it is okay to express your feelings when delivering the speech, whether you are disappointed with the culture, whether you are happy with that. You can smile sometimes. You can also, what is it, draw sadness on your face because hustle culture has a lot of downsides. Yeah. Okay. So, but after all, you have done good. Yeah, it's good. So I just want to give you, what is it, give you some tips, yeah, for maybe for the next, if you have another chance, so you can make yourself relax. Yeah, remember, storytelling or presenting a paper is not about the narrative, it's not about the story, not about the paper, but it's all about you, the narrator. Yeah, again,
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
We still have time. Are there any other questions from the honorable judges?
That's enough for me.
Okay, so that marks the end of the question and answer session for our first participant, Darren. Thank you, judges, for the questions, and thank you, Darren, for your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Judge, and thank you, everyone.
Next, I would like to call upon the next participant, Ana Maria.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are. The time and place is yours.
I'll start my presentation in 1, 2, 3. The current uprise on a belief that hustling is needed in order to succeed amongst younger generation has been normalized and even considered as a culture amongst the society. In a culture that glorifies overworking and busyness, it's easy to get caught up in the hype and compete for the most overwhelmed. However, the only thing waiting at the finish line will be the burnout syndrome. Good morning, participants and fellow judges. My name is Anna, and I'm from SMA Mahatma Gandhi, and I will be discussing further through on the topic how the normalization of hustle culture has led to the burnout of younger generations. And through this topic, I would like to raise awareness on the harms of hustle culture and why the grind must stop. Next slide, please. Before we dive deeper into the discussion of this topic, we must unfold what hustle culture really is and what is the burnout syndrome or phenomenon. A lifestyle perpetuated by social media and was set off by unrealistic standards of productivity and meaningful work, hustle culture can be understood as a fast-paced environment that feeds off long working hours and a restless sense of striving for some type of goal. The prioritization of achieving a goal with the internalized neglect of well-being has been fabricated into many colloquial or trendy labels, including the quote-unquote, the hustle, the grind, or even just productivity. And according to WHO, World Health Organization, burnout is referred to as a syndrome attributable to the chronic workplace stress that has not been effectively managed. And paradoxically, to the intention of hustle culture, individuals who experience burnout are incapable of managing responsibilities and workload due to its energy depletion effect. Next slide, please. Now, why is hustle culture sweeping the world, and why is it so normalized amongst the younger generation? Along why is it so harmful? The normalization of hustle culture amongst the younger generation in recent years has spread rapidly owing to the romanticization of overworking in different social media platforms. Currently, in social media, the promotion of hustle culture lifestyle is stemmed from motivational posts encouraging the younger generation to hustle in order to pursue their dreams. This toxic self-destructing message has also been popularized by many capitalist influencers like Elon Musk and Andrew Tate. Elon Musk once quoted, "No one ever changed the world on 40 hours a week." And he recommends reaching an 80 hours week threshold, possibly peaking at 100. Fueled by the exploitation of younger generations' well-being, hustle culture is a capitalistic fad and an elitist concept created by the rich. Ultimately, the biggest issue in hustle culture is that it only looks to the future. Individuals fail to realize that the present damage hustle culture brings upon, and they tend to be fixated on working as much as possible to accomplish a certain goal, neglecting their health and causing them to burn out. Describing the harmful long-term effect of burnout and exhaustion from hustle culture, young individuals may risk prolonged states of stress, which could affect an individual's physically and mentally. For instance, gastrointestinal problems, obesity, heart problems, anxiety, depression, and even alcohol or drug dependency. Also, dismantling the frequent assumption on hustle culture, putting in more time into work is not equivalent to higher productivity. According to a study by Penavel 2014, the relationship between working hour and productivity isn't interconnected. The message of working longer and self-exhaustion to achieve goals faster is proven completely false on the discussion of resisting hustle culture. Next slide, please. Cultural expectation, peer, societal pressure. Rooted and derived from the premise of modern Western society, which encourages young individuals to strive for wealth, fame, and accomplishment, in the current time where hustle culture is normalized, there is both a cultural expectation, or in other words, internalized message of what is and is not acceptable in a society, a given standard of behavior created by society, and acceptance that students or young adults are compelled to lose sleep and hustle in order to achieve more. This often leads to a relentlessly competitive streak and cycle of overworking to the extent of burnout, as they would rely on achievement, validation from parents or peers, and have an unhealthy idea of self-worth. Next slide, please. Now, striving against hustle culture. To overcome with the glorification of hustle culture in society and the normalization of toxic lifestyle, based on our research done, we compiled different contrasting ways on research subjects coping with hustle culture. Firstly, by limiting social media usage. With the rise of promoting hustle culture in social media platforms, different posts have been coming in many shapes and form. For instance, motivational podcasts, to peer updates on their work. Avoiding possible stress trigger from social media could really help individuals cope with their current uprising hustle culture and prevent burnout. Second point, knowing your limits and prioritizing your mental health. Defined as a form of exhaustion and a result of excessive and prolonged physical mental stress, left untreated, burnout can make people feel depressed, anxious, and even distracted. Avoiding burnout by taking breaks when needed is a way and is an effective way to cope with hustle culture. Preventing exhaustion building by taking breaks when needed eases the stress level. Now, the third point, not engaging with the culture by understanding its roots. Originating from the result of capitalism, hustle culture is a culture which only benefits the rich. Understanding the roots of hustle culture and standing against a system that exploits is a way we can face the normalization of hustle culture and fight against it. Now, the fourth point is setting clear boundaries. Setting clear boundaries is crucial for the younger generation to prevent young individuals from falling into the overworking lifestyle, or also known as hustle culture. Now, the last but not least is optimizing work time. To prevent burnout from long hours of working, one of our subjects copes with her task by little daily. This theory has also been proven by Penavel 2014 that the relationship between working hour and productivity isn't interconnected. By maintaining a small working time at a time, she manages to produce an output proportional to its productivity hours. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, to conclude this presentation. In conclusion, Generation Z are young workers who are passionate about their work and strive to achieve their dreams, but they fail to set clear boundaries when it comes to prioritizing their physical and mental well-being over work. The constant neglect of younger generation towards their physical, mental well-being causes them to experience the aftermath of hustle culture, or as we know, the burnout syndrome. Previous slide, please. Thank you so much for your attention, and I'm looking forward for a further discussion with the judges. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna, for your presentation. Now we will give the judges a chance to ask questions. Are there any questions from the honorable judges?
Okay, so I think I will start first. Yeah. Okay, Anna. Wow, congratulations. Yeah, you did it
Thank
good.
you, Judge.
Yeah, you did it good. It seems to me that you were so confident when delivering the paper. Yeah, your pronunciation is good, but one thing is that you deliver it too fast. Yeah, you deliver it too fast. So the audience, or especially me, it is a little bit hard to get the point. Yeah, but actually you did it good. I mean, from your PowerPoints, yeah, it is hard for everyone or for most people to to just do the things you did. You just mention some points and then you deliver more words. Yeah, it seems to me that you were in a rush due to the time limits, right? But I can give you a suggestion. When you are given a topic, for example, like hustle culture, it seems that you want to talk about everything, right? So it is better for you to make an outline for the paper based on these three things. Yeah. So I guess in academia, we are familiar with these three things. The first one is focus. Yeah. What is the focus? Oh, about hustle culture. And then locus. Locus is a place or the setting. So if you want to come up with the digital thing, like you mentioned, Elon Musk and etc. So that can be your locus. And then tempus. Tempus is the time. Yeah. So you come up with the current, yeah, with the very current relevance. Yeah. So the time is now, right? So you can make it simpler by these three things. Yeah. And then I have one question instead of just the techniques. Okay. So give us some words about about how to deal with the hustle culture. I think your own words. What is your message to us or to the generation?
I think that hustle culture is really all about mindset. And of course, everybody wants to strive hard to achieve something, but there is always a boundary where you overwork yourself and you actually do hard work. We should set boundaries for ourselves and love ourselves more and appreciate um, our mental health and prioritize instead of overworking and trying to achieve the goals. So I believe that it's really all about setting boundaries where you overwork and you actually do hard work.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Anna. So I
Thank you,
guess it's time
Judge.
for Kak Kemas, yeah?
Okay, thank you so much, Ishvi. Uh, Amazing presentation, Anna. And I think I want to give some advice on the PowerPoint presentation. I think that you can put some more bullet points there. It is okay, like to put some more text on the PowerPoint. And I think that would be more easier for us, the spectators, judges, to get what you want to present to us, because sometimes we're kind of lost, like, oh my god, what is she saying, like, what can I see, like, we also want to, like, we also want visual, not only like hearing what we're saying. So yeah, I think that's what you should do next time for a better presentation. And I would like to also ask, because from what I read in your paper, there are several ways to escape the hustle culture, and most of them lean towards individual action. And my question is, are individual actions alone enough to stop the hustle culture from existing in the society?
I believe yes, because hustle culture spreads between individuals. When one individual strives really hard, another individual might experience what they say in today's society, fear of missing out. So by starting a change from an individual working just enough, other people might look up into you and not experience that fear of missing out and actually enjoy what they're doing and work enough in a line that's enough and it's not considered as hustling.
All right, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Judge, for the question.
Again, we still have time. Are there any other questions from the honorable judges? Okay, that's the end of question and answer session for Anna. Thank you, judges, for your questions, and thank you, Anna, for your presentation. Next, I would like to call upon the next participant, Diandra Aulia Danisi. The time and place is yours, Diandra.
Thank you. The hustle culture has become a familiar topic among youths in any individual scope. The struggle to keep up with any activities, volunteers and commitments, and fulfilling other obligations while simultaneously cultivate meaningful experiences, maintaining relationships, and managing to get enough sleep in the process appears to be a difficult goal to attain. Good morning, participants and fellow judges. My name is Diandra Alia Danish from SMA Scholastica Surabaya, and I'll be discussing further on the topic of hustle culture and how it's time to embrace slow productivity. Next slide, please. The hustle culture has become a trend for several years, and it sets a belief on individuals that a chance of self-fulfillment depends on the grind and how you relentlessly and continuously working hard. The hustle culture, by its definition, refers to a defined stage of overworking and often associated and adhere to a mindset that individuals should be constantly working. Despite the long working hours, it has proven that the phenomena does not improve any productivity nor creativity within oneself. And over the years, the term has been developed and modernized from what is initially a framework for organizations that deals with standardized tasks to becoming a tool for individuals that encourage long working hours that eventually holds a negative impact, namely burns out and stress, which may lead to more serious cases. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic played a part in reinforcing online activities, and it shifts from offline work to a remote work culture. And the most affected people of generations are millennials and Generation Z, or the younger generations. With the presence of social media and advanced progress in technology that allows many alternatives to work on the assigned task and majorly blurred the lines between work and our private life. And emails can be checked anywhere, and documents can be submitted anytime and simply anywhere. Next slide, please. Now, the rapid shift of digital platform provides individuals with access to utilize for work purposes. Now, with technology means availability for an entire day of 7 days. And with ads and social media algorithms, including influencers in various range of media platforms who promoted hustle culture, become the source of career comparison that builds peer pressure in the pursuit of our productivity. And taking into account to how users often seeks a validation and success is redefined on the basis of our own unrealistic standards. And this builds up the mindset that rest and recovery rendered an obstacle to productivity rather than act as an asset. And ultimately, because the benefit and reward of long working hours are much apparent and are visible or readily available rather than spending and invest our times in leisure times. And a 2018 study by the Childmind Institute and the National Center for Health Research shows how people who use social media excessively were shown to have 13 to 66% higher rates of reported depression than those who spend the least time. And prior research generally confirms that hustle culture does not equate to productivity. And research titled The Productivity of Working Hours reveals that productivity per hour declines when individuals exceed 50 hours of work per week. And the data from the study case indicates that the output resulted in individuals who work more than 70 hours per week showed no difference compared to those who work on an average of 55 hours per week. And also, personal dissatisfaction due to the failure to meet impractical goals can reinforce guilt and create a motive to accomplish more, and it causes more stress as well as burnout. Next slide, please. Now, glamorizing the hustle culture can make a harmful impression for youths who are emotionally vulnerable as they feel enough pressure and urgency in the work environment. And the phenomenon of hustle culture arises the development to one's inner drive, such as due to ambitions, self-satisfaction, guilt, short-term reward, pride, anxiety, and these words speak to influence individuals to work beyond their boundaries and capabilities. And the impacts are driven from the adherence of individuals to set a self-expectation and ideals, resulting in having a burnout. The World Health Organization have recognized burnout as an occupational phenomenon and classified it into 3 dimensions. And that is first, energy depletion. Second is increased mental distance from one's job. And lastly, a sense of ineffective and lack of accomplishment. Next slide, please. Now, to counter the effect of prolonged work, there are several mindful steps that can be taken. Now, the emergence on the concept of work-life balance have been widely known to create an optimal balance between work as well as our personal life. And one of the most important methods is effective prioritizations, to which individuals collectively compile and select several priorities that are consistent and require intentional time as well as our talent. And this is where the elements of how and when are taken into account to maximize our working. And lastly is the implementation of self-care. And it has been a popular topic for the past few years. And one of the ways to implement self-care in the working scope is to learn how to delegate tasks by establishing firm boundaries without a fear of saying the word no. And to stop the chain of working indefinitely and beyond our limits. And in this case, recognizing one's abilities, strength, weakness, boundaries, as well as our limits are indeed crucial and important to look up to, and are better than to indulge in the harmful as well as overworking culture. Now, hustle culture are deemed to be harmful as it raises and leads to a series of risks of poor mental health, such as burnouts that may largely affect one's confidence and even negatively affect their ability to engage with other people. Now, highlighting the impact it costs, we need to actively promote balance between professional and personal life, and not give a heed to the unrealistic and harmful anchors of perfection and comparative benchmarks. And that marks the end of my presentation deliberation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation, Deandra. Now, again, we will give the judges a chance to ask questions. Are there any questions from the honorable judges?
Okay. Oh, am I audible now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, amazing presentation, Deandra. And I would like to ask, you mentioned about self-care. How is self-care related to less hustling? How can we utilize this strategy as a solution to overcome the hustle culture?
Yes. Thank you for the question, judges. Since hustle culture also refers to the how we overwork ourselves, and because there are several factors, external factors that may affect how we actually encourage to the hustle culture itself. But the linkage to self-care and hustle culture is that when you actually pay more attention to yourself, you know what to prioritize, you know about yourself, you know about your boundaries, and you know what your limits are, you identified your strength as well as your weakness, and it also could reduce the risk of you encouraging and indulge in the hustle culture or the culture of overworking.
Great answer. I see.
Okay, thank you, Kak Kemas. Deandra, congratulations.
Thank
Good
you.
presentation. Yeah,
Thank you.
I want to comment you deliver it well, good pace, good intonation, and also good
Thank you.
pronunciation. I'm just curious. Did you feel nervous or did you feel okay when delivering? I'm just curious.
Actually, during the time I presented, actually, I'm a bit actually nervous, actually, but as I made progress along the presentations and my deliberations, I actually learned how to keep my pace and how to be mindful of my deliberation.
Okay, thank you very much for letting us know about that, and please keep going with that. Yeah, please, you have to. I mean, I suggest you do that kind of practice. Okay, good pointers, Deandra. Good pointers. You make us understand and able to follow the way of thought. Yeah, and then okay, so you come up with some studies. Yeah, you come up with some studies. Yeah. Okay, so this is not only unique for you, but also for other participants who also insert the studies. When you are involving some studies, it is better for you to also explain what does it mean. Yeah, so you come up with a lot of studies and then what does it mean. Yeah, you can give your own opinion or you can also share your experience in order to illustrate the meaning. Yeah, so you have to make the studies speak. Yeah, and the audience understands the relevance of the studies. Yeah, so that's only the point that I want to suggest, but after all, you did it good. Yeah, congratulations, Deandra.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's enough from us.
Okay, that's the end of question and answer session for Diandra's presentation. Thank you, judges, for the questions, and thank you, Diandra, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move immediately to the next participants, Ratu Putri Dewi. The time and place is yours, Ratu.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I would like to tell you a story. You go home from work, school at 5 p.m., it's getting dark out. You remember that you haven't done the assignment you're supposed to do. You remember your startup needs tending to. You grab a coffee and you don't sleep until 2 a.m. and you feel so tired. But that's just how it is, isn't it? Everyone else is doing it, so that's okay. One day you'll be successful, right? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya. Good morning, respected examiners. I am Ratu Putri Dewi from SMA Pradita Dirgantara, and today I will raise a very important issue in our current society, the issue of overwork, underwhelmed, and undersleep, hustle culture. This presentation will next slide, please. This presentation will discuss three main points: what hustle culture is and how it became prevalent, the problem with hustle culture, and finally, the possible solutions to combat it. Next slide. But first, what is hustle culture? Hustle culture comes from workaholism. Workaholism, the compulsion to work incessantly, encourages people to work harder, longer, in hopes of achieving success faster. This creates a winner-takes-all mindset that people who are successful must work non-stop. Largely, this way of thinking became the lifestyle phenomena it is today due to the role of social media. The hashtag hustle culture has become a trend on social media in recent years that involve people posting content of productivity and the positive things they achieve from those habits. Moreover, famous celebrities and success stories began to participate, such as Elon Musk, who recommends 100 hours of work a week. In summary, this lifestyle hinges upon one ideology: work equals success. The more you work, the more successful you become. Next slide, please. However, there are startling problems that emerge from this culture, one of them being mental health issues. Two hormones associated with hustle culture are cortisol, or stress inducers, and dopamine, a hormone to entice pleasure. Ideally, these two chemicals are balanced, but when we overwork, the balance shifts. Cortisol and dopamine get released way too often and way too much, and this leads the body seeking balance by lessening the effects of the hormones and intensifying the negative after effects. All in all, this chemical imbalance can lead to burnout, an emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged stress. This is because people are expected to be 100% productive at all times, when that is not physically or mentally possible. Burnout can lead to many different issues, such as insomnia, which can disrupt sleep schedule and make someone even more exhausted. Furthermore, burnout and overworking generally puts the body in a constant state of fight or flight. This fatigues the body and makes it susceptible to minor illnesses such as tension headaches caused by stress and lack of sleep, or even more serious illnesses such as cardiovascular diseases. Next slide, please. But the problems don't end there. You see, hustle culture extends far beyond the individual and has become a societal phenomenon. Because of this, some of its ideologies have affected social norms. For instance, many people have negative views on people who are unemployed or want to live a simple life. As you can see in the graphic, those who are unemployed are automatically attributed to being less competent, and this applies to other negative characteristics as well. Hustle culture normalizes overworking such that everybody is racing to meet society's high standards, and the normalization of overworking promotes the ideology that a human's worth hinges upon their productivity, nothing more. But this is an ignorant mindset because nobody can be productive 100% of the time. It's simply too tiring. Next slide, please. So what are some ways to solve this? You can picture it as a pyramid. The top layer, counter movements, is a surface level solution that can help, but won't do much without at least some of the elements below it. Like its name, counter movements to hustle culture are movements created to be the anti of hustle culture. In this presentation, I will introduce two: The first, anti-hustle culture. Anti-hustle culture is essentially a rejection of hustle culture, telling people to go with the flow, to live a healthier life, and to live at a much slower pace. The second one is cottagecore, an aesthetic that encourages simple living, particularly in the countryside. These two may be useful for those on the verge of burnout or are looking for a slower paced life. However, it may be damaging to budding workers looking to establish themselves, because without the initial work, their efforts may not succeed. Ultimately, it depends on when and what aspects you take from the counter movements, because it's not good to have too much of anything, whether it be overwork or no work. The second layer is systemic. Systemic changes in society can be made to combat overworking, for example, setting a shorter, more flexible work schedule, something already done by some countries like Ireland in limiting work hours. Systemic changes can also be done in schools. Finland, for example, is teaching its students to be motivated without the reward system that can contribute to hustle culture. But of course, systemic and counter movements won't work without the willingness of the individuals to engage in work-life balance. Work-life balance can be done through simple habits like setting limits to working or studying hours, practicing mindfulness, encouraging hobbies, and making a list of priorities. Starting small can really benefit in the long run to create a sustainable, productive mindset. Next slide, please. I will end my presentation with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. There is more to life than increasing its speed. Society is always pushing for us to be a faster student, a faster worker, a faster success story. But I'm here to tell you that while motivation can be beneficial, it can also cause some mental, physical, and even societal problems. So remember, when life tells you to speed things up, sometimes you have to slow things down. That's all from me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Om Santi 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 Om. Namo Buddhaya. Thank you.
Thank you, Ratu, for your presentation. Now I will pass to the judges. Are there any questions from the honorable judges?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Ratu, congratulations, for the paper presentation. Okay, so actually I am impressed by your paper, that I have read your paper. It's really good. Really good, excellent. I'm so impressed with that. Okay, but when it comes to presentation, again I can copy Kak Kemas' opinion about the pointer, especially for the part of solution you come up with some, not some, but a pyramid, counter movement. So not everyone knows what is counter movement. So maybe you can divide it into several slides, maybe, right? So you can explain counter movement. What is that? You can also give an example. You can also give an example. And then systemic, what is that about? So the audience really have to know about what you are talking about when you insert some jargons, right? Or some unfamiliar words. So it is okay to make more slides or to make animation or pictures, in order to explain your term. About the technique of delivery, I think everything is good. You have good pace, good pronunciation, and also good intonation. So everything is good. And after all, congratulations, Ratu. Okay.
Thank you.
Kak Kemas.
For the comment. Okay, am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so like Kak Isfi shared, amazing paper, an astounding paper, I think, because I think like it is comparable to what university students like usually made. Like it's very, I think it's very outstanding for like for a high school student to make that level of paper. But I do agree with Kak Isfi. Isfi. I do agree with Kak Isfi with that pyramid depiction. I really like the idea of like you depict the solutions of hustle culture into that pyramid. But I think like what Kak Isfi said, you can maybe elaborate more on your presentation slide so that maybe the spectators can understand more of the jargon. And then for my question, in your opinion, what are the changes that we should make in our current education system to break away from the hustle culture and for a better study-life balance?
Hello, thank you for the question. So, in regards to the educational system, I think there should be more choices for the students to really engage in what they're passionate in, because ultimately, hustle culture is when we overwork ourselves, maybe in some things that we don't like. So, I think Indonesia is already doing that with the Merdeka curriculum. It gives students more flexible and freedom to choose what they enjoy. And I think also maybe teaching students, particularly elementary school students, to know how to divide their time between work and play. For example, maybe teaching them how to set priorities or things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for the answer. Keep up the good work.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Again, we still have time. Are there any other questions from the honorable judges, or that's it?
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, that marks the end of question and answer session of Ratu's presentation. Thank you, judges, for the questions, and thank you, Ratu, for your presentation. Now we're going to move on to the next participant, Lynette Azura Kang. Lynette, the time and place is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
It's quite unbelievable to think that the first seeds of insecurity sprouted within me at merely 13 years old, disguised as lovely lettering and aesthetically pleasing school notes posted online. Today, these are blossoming into an internet phenomenon that has molded a new paradigm for productivity amongst young adults. They call it study blurs, a mixture of two terms, study and Tumblr, and referring to the community of students who create all kinds of study blog content, such as study tips, note-taking templates, and even inspirational quotes. At first glance, this seems like the perfect academic haven, and it's only natural for me to be excited upon discovery of such accounts. But I quickly recognized that immersing myself in overproductivity had only manifested further stress and anxiety in my life. So what is it exactly that makes these study blurs so unsettling? Good morning, judges and fellow participants. My name is Lynette, and today I'll be delivering a presentation about the dangers of hustle culture and toxic productivity. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Gaining traction since 2014, the birth of the study community has brought about a new, intensely romanticized view of work and productivity. It's now a competition for people to boast about how hard they work, how busy their schedules are, and how they're always so physically and mentally exhausted. This phenomenon, labeled by others as hustle culture, is a collective drive to work harder and faster. Study blur posts on YouTube, Instagram, and even Pinterest are all over the internet, appealing to a strong consumer base of young adults driven to strengthen their work ethic and strive to be better versions of themselves. Though this wave of motivational content can serve as a great source of inspiration, the consequences of its overconsumption, especially for young, impressionable teens, have yet to be explored. Next slide, please. Busyness has become a measuring stick of achievement, where the number of hours we work directly correlates to our success. Regardless of opposite claims, overworking has instead led to mass burnout, generating results far from increased productivity. Firstly, by forcing students into a go big or go home mindset, hustle culture puts the body in a state of fight or flight. We spend our energy worrying about our obligations to work, and it brings us perpetual anxiety. These constant stress produce the hormone cortisol in copious amounts, and to regulate these cortisol levels, it's important that we also rest properly. But what if hustle culture doesn't allow for any time of rest? Then burnout is simply inevitable. And when cortisol levels are heightened for extended periods of time, it can bring further harm to both your mental and physical well-being. Side effects include anxiety, depression, heart disease, and memory impairments, amongst many others. Research conducted by the Mayo Clinic Health Company has also demonstrated that by forcing individuals into a perpetual state of stress, hustle culture is paradoxically impairing productivity. And burnout isn't something that can be so easily treated or cured. Instead of a momentary flicker that could easily be blown away, burnout evolves into an inferno that students struggle to extinguish. Next slide, please. The prioritization of academic achievement often occurs in conjunction with the internalized neglect of student well-being. Overwork occupies our every waking hour. It encourages a no exercise, no relationships, and no rest system. Altogether, this brews the perfectly inhumane recipe for the ruination of one's mental and physical well-being. Students who internalize such mindsets only focus on their educational merit, sacrificing their self-worth or health as an equivalent value. And though its consequences remain strikingly clear, the repetition of such a harmful culture prevails in the widely normalized expectation that students will have poor diet and sleeping habits. For instance, a caffeine-heavy diet is seemingly justified as it enables a student to substitute hours of sleep with extra revision. These kinds of examples perceptions of what their lifestyles are supposed to look like. Further surrounded by such positive reinforcements of these unhealthy behaviors, it's difficult to distinguish between students who strive to achieve and students who simply push themselves too far. One day, the physical and mental repercussions of our work may prevent us from exerting ourselves any further. Next slide, please. Hustle culture promotes an environment of ruthless competition that pushes us to judge ourselves by the standard of our peers, clambering over one another to get to the very top. The goal no longer concerns our own self-improvement. Instead, it's about how others perceive our intelligence. In this section of my presentation, I'll be unpacking the role of social media in promoting toxic productivity. So before social media, we only compared ourselves to our immediate social circle. But courtesy of social media, it's expanded to an unlimited pool of people, unlimited and without any boundaries. A recent study by the University of Michigan claims that people on social media only tend to portray the favorable versions of themselves. They display only picture-perfect results and not the struggle that they poured into completing each task. So theoretically, repeatedly exposing oneself to strictly positive information about others could provoke envy, insecurity, and anxiety, rooted in the fear of being behind everyone else. Hence, as students attempt to unwind by mindlessly scrolling past their social media feeds, they're instead met with and anxiety. Increased persons views themselves as inherently better than another in school, and academic superiority complex is manifested. On the other hand, inferiority complex have become commonplace. Neither of these views are healthy as they promote viewing others in a negative light, either as someone to underestimate or someone to defeat and take over. Ultimately, comparisons are a double-edged sword. The silver lining lies in its ability to motivate us, but oftentimes it's simply destructive, leading to rumination and feelings of worthlessness, bitterness, hopelessness, and also extreme envy. Next slide, please. Hustle culture diminishes the significance of taking breaks, building a social life, and exploring hobbies and interests outside your quotidian domains of work. People end up doubting themselves, wholly relying on their academic achievements or job titles as their entire self of identity. The solution to this lies inwards, encouraging a change within your own mentality rather than actions that have to involve the whole society. An ideal solution would be to acknowledge the difference between productivity and overexerting yourself. Though this may seem a lot easier said than done, it's crucial to gradually set yourself some boundaries. For instance, it may seem of little importance, but a simple inclusion of a consistent hobby or activity into your life can actually make a world of difference. They serve as healthy outlets for negative emotions and are an excellent vehicle for strengthening your social bonds with others. So don't be afraid to set some time aside for your own personal care, finding joy outside of work, tuning into past hobbies, or catching up with your loved ones. As counterintuitive as it may seem, disconnecting from your studies time after time actually increases your productivity. Another solution to the toxic hustle lifestyle is to wind down, taking a step back to thoroughly concentrate on your goals, as well as your efforts so far to materialize them. Toxic productivity culture thrives on the act of working solely for the sake of working. People feel guilty whenever they're not being productive, so they try to fill the void of boredom with piles and piles and piles of strenuous extracurriculars. Alternatively, we should find meaning behind the work we do, rather than placing all significance on merely the act of work itself. To understand my point, we could discuss further about extracurriculars and their ties to college admissions. So students get involved in myriad of activities solely because they think it will increase their chances of admission. But recent years have actually witnessed an increased appeal towards applicants who only have a few passionately explored activities rather than a catalog of multiple superficial club memberships. There's an underlying theme of quality over quantity here. And gathering experiences isn't simply about adding another bullet point to your CV. They should be perceived based on your interests, curiosity, and passion as well. To briefly conclude my points, since I'm running out of time, I'd simply like to say that hustle culture is a very dangerous phenomenon. So although some of my solutions so far were individual focused, it also requires a collective effort in how we conceptualize work as a whole. Thank you. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Lynette, for your presentation. Now we will give the judges a chance to ask questions. Are there any questions from the honorable judges?
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you so much, Lynette, for the nice presentation. And I also really like your article, actually, because I think I quite like your approach on the hustle culture and how do you view hustle culture through like I think the phenomenon of study blur. I think I really like that topic that you raised on your paper. But
Thank
you
you.
have some advice for you to pay attention to your pace when presenting your paper, because it seems like you're a bit rushed, and I don't know, maybe it has to do with the time limit, but presenting is not only like try to convey everything, every information, but also trying to make the audience understand what you're trying to say, what are your ideas and stuff. So yeah, I think that's some advice from me. But for my question, you mentioned in a paper that the inclusion of a consistent hobby into our life can make a world of difference. Can you elaborate more on that and how it can be used as a strategy to overcome the hustle culture?
So what I wanted to present largely from the inclusion of a discussion about hobbies is that hustle culture, it diminishes the significance of downtime, of taking breaks and building a social life and focusing on things that really make you or really bring you joy. So I think by focusing on hobbies and making sure that you're actually tending to them, not just eliminating them entirely from your life purely because you want to study, I think it's very important because life is not all about studying. Of course, you need to focus on the things that make you you. So for instance, your hobbies actually, it can be something related to your future as well. So it doesn't mean that not doing any hobbies is like you're being unproductive. Actually, making time for yourself and making sure that you're not overworking yourself by having some hobbies and having some like exercise or activities additional in addition to your schoolwork, it's very healthy, and it encourages the practice of healthier lifestyle and healthier habits, I think.
Okay, great answer. Thank you so much, Kak Isvi.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Kak Kemas, and congrats ya for Lynette. Yeah, hopefully I pronounce your name well. Well, actually, I am with Kak Kemas. Yeah, everything has been covered by him, but I just want to give some words for you. Actually, I'm so happy because despite those technical problems, yeah, during the presentation, you did it well. Yeah, after all, you did it well. Yeah, but it seems like you were in a rush, yeah, just like what Kak Kemas, Kak Kemas have said previously. And yeah, maybe you can just make an outline and also make it simpler. You don't have to tell everything during the presentation. Yeah, so that's the simple tips or suggestion. After all, you did it well. You have such a good pointer. Yeah, not only that, as Kak Kemas said, you came up with a new approach. Yeah, so even though you are the fifth or the sixth presenter, yeah, you are able to make me especially open my eyes just to listen to what what you were delivering. Yeah, again, congratulations, yeah, Lynette. Yeah, that's
Thank
it.
you, judges.
Yeah.
That marks the end of question and answer session of Lynette's presentation. Thank you, judges, for your questions once again, and thank you, Lynette, for your presentation. Next, we're going to move on to the next participants, Hannah Sakardamayanti. The time and place is yours, Hannah.
Check, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I will be starting my presentation right now. Hustle culture, it starts from the state of mind where one must be constantly working in order to be productive and achieve a certain goal. This gets dangerous when it transforms into a lifestyle, causing one to neglect their social life and other priorities besides working, even their own health and well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Hana Skardamayanti from SMA Pradita Dirgantara, and I'm here to present my findings on hustle culture and its burnout effect on the young generation. Next slide, please. Here are the following aspects that I would like to deliver to you in the following presentation. I think we can move on to the next slide. Lately, hustle culture has been trending in social media, with most of its followers being the young generation. In Instagram, the hashtag hustle itself has been used for more than 29 million posts. Hustle culture entered the American workforce in the 2008 Great Recession. It disrupted the concept of 9-to-5 jobs. Many paid workers in America put in more than 45 hours per week at their full-time jobs, yet they still need to hustle to make ends meet. It doesn't help that this culture is encouraged by many public figures. A similar phenomenon also happens in China. It's called the 996, in which one must work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. There was an interview by CNN Beijing done with multiple Chinese employees. One of the interviewees, Wang Shichang, who works as a programmer, has stated that workplace stress worsens his depression to the point where he needs to seek medical attention. He also explained that the work he's doing is boring and repetitive, and it causes him to struggle finding fulfillment in his job. Hustle culture also happens in Japan, where a full-time employee is expected to put in at least 40 hours a week, and an uncommon case of additional extra hours as late as 9 or 10 p.m. After performing high-stress labor for an extended period of time, mental disorders and cardiovascular diseases might be stimulated and lead to karoshi, a term popular among Japan employees that refers to death that's caused by overwork. Some of the workforce in Indonesia has also been affected by the hustle culture, mainly the technology startups, which have a fast-paced atmosphere. Employees in this situation feel like they have to constantly keep up with the development of technology. Not to mention the demographic bonus that is currently happening in Indonesia that makes many feel the need to undertake extra effort in order to stand out from the rest. Next slide, please. Hustle culture often makes its victim feel burdened by the endless responsibilities that they have. It also makes them feel guilty when they're not being productive, even if they desperately need to rest. The unhealthy system of hustle culture is greatly flawed, as it is rarely capable of rewarding those who follow the system. This condition, if left unhealed, while also happening continuously in a long period of time, will eventually develop into burnout. When a person is burnt out, they will most likely experience exhaustion, melancholy, irritability, and impatience. Burnout is a persistent sense of helplessness and annoyance. Next slide, please. Burnout is known to happen to millennials due to the unceasing stress and weight of expectations they carry. However, current reports also indicate that Gen Z are also burning out. It's in the 2022 survey by the US-based work management platform Asana. On the slide, we could also see that Gen Zs are struggling in crucial aspects of work. Gen Z enters hustle culture due to the growing inflation. Meanwhile, worker wages are not keeping up. And what does this mean? This constructs an idea that one must work extra hard by taking on more jobs and responsibilities in order to make more income for a living. What's worse is that this phenomenon even starts to enter the education system. Many students are engaged in an overwhelming number of activities. They believe that it won't be enough to fulfill their academic achievement portfolio just by attending classes. Next slide, please. The exhausting, restless cycle of constant stress triggers the exhausting, restless cycle of constant stress triggers the release of the stress hormone, cortisol. To take care of it, the body must enter a state of rest. Yet, hustle culture does not tolerate other activities besides working, which then makes burnout unavoidable. Chronically, high cortisol levels have also been linked to a number of negative impacts. including anxiety, depression, heart disease, and memory problems. Its physical symptoms include persistent headaches or achy muscles, exhaustion, and constantly feeling drained, frequently ill, and a change in eating and sleeping pattern. Unlike stress, burnout creates disengagement, dull emotions, as well as loss of hope and motivation. Next slide, please. The impact of hustle culture has been proven to be toxic and unhealthy. Now, it's clear that the culture is unattainable in the long run. It will only create chaos as it is more harmful than it is helpful. Worse, it could create a massive fireback in the industry and decrease productivity. Many actions have been taken by the new workforce in order to escape the hustle culture, like the new trend of carrying out responsibilities and not doing much outside of that. It's called the quiet quitting. In China, similar resistance to hustle culture has been emerging. The trend is called lying flat. This movement urges young professionals and workers to forgo the fight for professional success and reject the promise of consumer fulfillment. Many also believe that burnout plays a significant role in the Great Resignation, a phenomenon that involves giving up your job completely, which has been proven to be increasing over the past 2 years. Next slide, please. Hustle culture is impacting the young generation in a negative way, which means that we should be taking preventive and revertive action. It should be done in order to save both the young generation as the future workforce and the job market itself. Spreading awareness is a necessary first step. Through the same way that hustle culture enters the workforce and being normalized, the use of social media could be used to promote a positive trend that embraces work-life balance. And in order to maintain that balance, building resilience is also crucial. Encouragement and normalization on taking breaks, rests, and vacations needs to be increased to help employees get rid of the guilty feeling when they are not doing something productive. Companies should also be practicing efforts to discourage hustle culture. This could be done by encouraging leaving work early and providing help and training about work-life balance and mental health. Our culture's obsession with productivity puts our mental health at stake. The hustle culture happens all over the world and is affecting the young generation in a negative way. Therefore, we need to realize that one's life is way more important than just numbers of profits. We must create balance in order to create sustainability, to create a better future. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Hannah, for your presentation. Now we're going to pass it to the judges. Are there any questions or comments from the honorable judges?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Wow. Congratulations, Hannah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I did enjoy your presentation. Yeah, you did it very well. Yeah, with a good pace, good pronunciation. You did it very, very well with the presentation. And actually, I would like to comment about the data, how to make the data speak when you came up with the burnout thing. I think you forget to explain the meaning, but for the next data on Gen Z, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, that is good. A good improvement that you say what does it mean, and you came up with the examples and your own stance on that. Yeah, so that's good thing. And then the thing that I want to comment is the diction. Your diction is really good. The way you make like subtitle maybe, or what is it? Yeah, title for each slide. Yeah, I like the way you, the way you express it, like escaping the hustle culture and then reversing. That's very, very good thing. Yeah, you really make me especially, and maybe all the audience, to to stick to that. Yeah, good delivery. And my suggestion is actually you can move or transfer your pointer to your own paper. Yeah, to your own paper. So it can be like paper outline. You can make it too. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because this one is academic paper, so people tend to be so rigid, yeah, but actually not. You can also be a good narrator or good storyteller in academic manner. Yeah, so you can use this as the outline of the paper. It will help you. Yeah, after all, the delivery is good. Thank you and congratulations, ya, Hana.
Thank you very much, Bu.
Ya, Kak Kemas.
For the comments, agree 100% with what you said. I would like to ask to Hannah, you mentioned in your presentation earlier, like this is also related to the graphic that you just displayed, that compared to other groups, Gen Z experiences burnout more frequently. What was the reason and how can you, I don't know, are you a Gen Z or not, but how can you as a Gen Z help to overcome the problem?
I would like to answer this by first stating that I am, in fact, a Gen Z. So the reason why Gen Z experience burnout more than the other age group is that because we are living in a world already structured and shaped by the generations before us, and so we have to live by that and live by that standard, even though sometimes that may not be suiting us very well, and that's why it's causing us burnout. And would you mind repeating the second question? I'm sorry.
What can you do as a Gen Z to overcome the problem?
What I would like to do as a Gen Z to overcome the problem is definitely relating to what I have stated in the presentation about reversing the hustle culture. I think we have to, like we normalize and glamorize the hustle culture, I think we should also normalize and glamorizing self-care and taking care of ourselves and really looking after one another and make sure that no one is left behind and someone is too, they are too ambitious in their ways of chasing out in their dreams, because it could really be harmful for ourselves.
Okay, great answer. Congratulations. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Kak.
Again, we still have time. Are there any other questions from the honorable judges? That marks the end of question and answer sessions for Hannah. Thank you, judges, for the questions, and thank you, Hannah, for your presentation. Now, we're going to move on immediately to the last participant, Sang Ayu Kadek Ninda Putri Kepakisan.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are. Ninda, the time and place is yours.
Okay. What a nice day and what a nice question to offer. Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever pushed yourself to work hard, but at the end, instead of getting the benefits, the thing that you get is only the feeling of tiredness? And if the answer is yes, you might be experiencing what is called as hustle culture. Oh, well, what's down, what's left, what's right, and what's up, everybody? My name is Sang Ayu Kadet Ninda Putri Kepakisan, and I'm from Pradita Dirgantara Senior High School. Ladies and gentlemen, as what I have asked you previously, I'm sure that most of us have experienced this. That's why I'm here, bringing the topic that relates with most of us, which is hustle culture towards young generation and how it affects our mental health. Well, you might be wondering since the very beginning, what is hustle culture actually? But before heading to that part, let's take a look at the agenda that we're having for today. Next. In today's presentation, I'll be splitting them into 4 parts, which is first, I'm going to talk about the status quo. Second, I'm going to talk about hustle culture and why is it bad. Third, I'm going to talk about stages of burnouts and how it correlates with hustle culture. And fourth, the way to address the problems. Well, it may seem confusing, but I'll show you later on how they correlate with each other. Next, into the status quo. Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in a world which is dominated by young generation. What does it mean by this? Young generation is mostly those from the age of 15 to 29-ish, which their characteristic is mostly visionary and having lots of spirits within themselves, both in the context of working or even studying. Now realize that we also live in a 4.0 era in which we can say that we're living side by side with technology. We're exposed with information every day, and people will likely to compete with each other in order to become the most productive one, just like what I have stated previously. But we're not just competing with human, but maybe we're competing with AI or ASI, artificial intelligence. Take a look in Japan, for example, where there are many robots that has been used in a day-to-day life to substitute the role of human. This is what drives people to work extra hard to survive in the status quo. And in most cases, they're working beyond the working hours. Well, instead of getting the benefits, you may only experience the fatigue, and this is what I define as hustle culture. It is the moment when you overwork and being too harsh to yourself, and at the very end, you won't be able to gain the significant benefits. Next. But why hustle culture is bad? There are at least 3 reasons. Why do I say so? First, it is delusional. What I meant by this is hustle culture will create a dimension where they prioritize quantity over quality. They use the amount of tasks to measure how productive they are, or even there's no such thing that stated amount of tasks as the benchmark of productivity, right? But second, hustle culture implicitly forces us to use someone as a yardstick. What do I mean by this? It means that we use someone as the benchmark of success, where we will always compare ourselves to others, which will then lower our self-esteem in the long run. And third, it then results fatigue, which will affect both physically and mentally. Well, in terms of mental, it does more than that. If you're mentally exhausted, it then causes what is called burnouts. And this is what I defined as the effect of hustle culture for mental health. Next. Next, please. Okay. Well, if you think that burnout is that simple, congrats, because you're wrong. Burnout isn't only burnout. There are at least 5 stages of burnout in here, which are honeymoon phase, onset of stress phase, chronic stress phase, burnout phase, and habitual burnout phase. Each of them has different characteristics and has different way to overcome it. Next. Now heading on to stage 1 until 3. First is honeymoon phase. Yes, sweet as its name. It is the fresh start of your work. In this phase, you'll be having lots of spirits, energy, and enthusiasm to do your work. However, even if you're in this phase, you still have to control yourself. Why? Because it will help you to avoid the reckless decision making that is caused by you that is being too enthusiastic. And second is onset of stress phase. In this phase, somehow you start to feel distress even though it doesn't last long, but still it will disturb your beautiful day. In this phase, you have to know your limitation. Now, what do I mean by this? Look, there's a picture of Taylor Swift there. When Taylor Swift got her doctoral degree, she once stated in her speech, "Life can be heavy, especially when you try to carry it all at once. Decide what is yours to hold and let the rest go. When we lose things, we gain things too." Thus, I think that there's nothing wrong in knowing your own limitation because you will then be able to get a better understanding about yourself. Now, third one is chronic phase. This phase can be defined as the phase where you reach a point where the stress intensifies or become chronic as the pressure grows within yourself. To overcome this problem, I suggest you to take your portion only. This means that you only do what you have to do because it is better to finish what you have to do first rather than doing many things but left them unfinished, right? Next. Next, please. Now, stage 4 is burnout phase. It is the pinnacle of your stress, where at this point, you might also occasionally feel numb and have a lot of self-doubts. However, don't worry, because this too shall pass. There are 2 main things that you can do. First is self-awareness, and second is time management. Self-awareness in here means that you have to be aware with your internal state and your relationship with others. Know yourself, know how you feel. And when you have reached this point, you know that all you need is to take a rest. After doing so, also pay attention on how you manage your time. In this 21st century, time management has become one of the most crucial skills that you need. Managing your time here mostly refers to the optimization of the time that you have so that you can finish the task that you have to do. I provide you 2 ways to start developing your time management skills, which are first, create to-do lists, and second, create priority scale. And the last one is habitual burnout phase. It is the phase where you just get used to it. You will experience burnout with low intensity in your daily life, but this feeling won't bother you that much anymore. However, there are still several things that you can do if you feel bothered with this. First is exercise, and second is self-healing. Exercise regularly can help you to become happier because while you exercise, your body produces a hormone called endorphin, which will be able to give you sort of euphoria after doing so. And lastly is self-healing. Well, actually, there's no absolute benchmark on how people have to heal themselves. This phase actually depends on every individual. So you can sleep, you can go to beautiful places, etc. But understand that self-healing doesn't mean you forget your duty, okay? Next. Now, to sum up my presentation, I'd like to re-emphasize that the act of overwork will never be the best option for you. And I have a quote to tell. Wisdom is knowing when to have rest, when to have activity, and how much of each to have. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
Thank you, Ninda, for your presentation. Now we will pass it to the judges. Are there any questions from the honorable judges?
Thank you so much, Ninda, for the amazing presentation. I'm actually impressed, like really impressed. But I do have a question for you. You mentioned phases of burnout and how to basically overcome the negative impacts of each phase. Can you tell me like a more concrete action that you can do as a student to make people, or maybe specifically other students, overcoming the negative impacts of burnout phases much easier?
Okay, it seems too complicated, right? But the thing is, it all starts in your mind. It starts from your mindset. Start to think that productivity is not measured based on how much work that you have done, but it is based on the quality of your work. Start to think about it and realize that in this world, we're not competing with others, and realize that the one you compete is just yourself. You compete with your previous self. You compete with the yesterday's version of you. Every day you have to try to think that today, the thing that I do today is just to become better from my previous self. So the first thing is mindset. And yes, I think that the simplest thing is just stop comparing yourself with others, because I always see in my surroundings that my friends always compare themselves with others. That's why they feel like so stressed, and they feel like, oh, I have to work more because I want to be better than A or better than B. But this is dead wrong. So I think the most crucial part to just like sum up all my presentation is to fix your mindset first, and second, to stop comparing yourself with others.
Okay, great point. Like it all starts with yourself. I think that's what I can conclude. Okay, thank you, Kak Ishvi.
Okay, thank you, Kak Kemas and Ninda. Wow. I guess you are the last participant, yeah, but you did it really, really good. Wow, wow, wow. Well, so you have given us a good lesson that good good pointers, yeah, will make you good in delivery. Yeah, so you have such a good presentation today, like good, everything is good. Everything is good and everything is in order. Yeah, so you really have given us a good lesson learned. Yeah, how the PPT can help the narrator or the presenter to perform well. That is one. And then the second one, in the beginning, I mentioned that storytelling or presentation, paper presentation, is actually about the narrator, how the narrator can bring the audience go somewhere, and you did it. You did it. Yeah. Please keep up the good work. Yeah. Okay. I can say that you are a good narrator. Yeah. And then you can bring what you have done or what you have written on your pointer, yeah, as the outline of the paper, yeah, as the outline of your paper. This is not unique only for you, but I think everyone, yeah, all of us, we are still struggling in making a good paper, especially in academic, yeah. But actually, academic paper is about telling the story but in academic manner, so you can make things that you have written on the pointer as the outline, and then you can just adjust yourself or adjust your writing into academic manner. Yeah, so it can be on progress. Yeah, you have started very, very good. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Ninda, and congratulations presentation. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's the end of question and answer session. Thank you, judges, for the questions, and thank you, Ninda, for your presentation. Now, we're at the end of today's competition. I would like to thank the judges and all the participants. I believe that everyone has done a great job presenting their paper, and I hope that this competition will be a sweet memory to all the contestants, regardless whether you will win or lose. Once again, I would like to first of all thank our sponsors and partners, Toko Vendor, Royal English, Info.Event, Info.Lomba, EventCenter.id, Online.Lomba, Point Campus, Event Campus, Jagat Lomba Indonesia, Media Lomba Plus, Infolomba.est, and Infolomba.sch for helping us in conducting this event. I would like to remind all the participants to attend the closing ceremony on Tuesday, August 30, 2022, because the certificate of participation will only be sent to the participant whose name are on the attendance list of the closing ceremony. The winners will also be announced in that event. That marks the end of the paper presentation competition of the 26th ALSA National English Competition. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to apologize if we've made any mistake throughout the competition period. See you at the closing ceremony. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Shanti 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 Om, Namo Buddhaya. The 26th ALSA National English Competition, enforce perseverance, seek for brilliance. ALSA, always be one. Participants and the judges can leave the meeting room. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mbak.
Thank you, Mbak Yusifi dan Kak Kemas.
Would like to propose part of with the total speaking time